Select Start Player 1, Al here. Hey, just a brief word before we start in today. I spent most of yesterday doing the one thing every year that I don't like about my house. I really like my house. My house has, right now, I have a room connected to my bedroom that's nursery for my son, so that's great. When he gets older, I've got a room that he can move into, so he has his own room, and then I'll claim that space as my office and editing room. There's another room for a spare bedroom. I have a room for a game room. So it's a very nice house, and it's on a nice big double lot. I'm a geocacher, so I have a geocache on my property. Just kind of really enjoy the house, except one time a year when I have to deal with this stuff. Yes, I hate leaves. So this is the one time you'll hear me complain about it until next year. So enjoy the loop in the background of leaves. I promise not to leave it up too long. We'll switch to something else. So on with the show. This week we have some Craigslist pickups. We have a game that I got a really good clearance deal on, and some questions for you. I have some reservations about the Craigslist pickups that we did this week, mainly because the post on Craigslist basically stated that a gentleman was going through one of his closets and found a box that he had forgotten about that had a ton of game stuff in it. It had been taped up for a while and hadn't seen it, thought it was gone, that type of stuff. And the gentleman even expanded upon that when I met him to pick up the stuff. So my quandary is, I don't know if he recalled the condition that the stuff was in when he packed it away, or if he'd actually looked at the stuff before bringing it for the sale. Because for everything that's great about this pickup, there are detractors. And I don't really, I still feel I got a good deal for what I spent for it. And almost everything can be repaired with the exception of one problem. So I'll just I'll go through the list, and I'll show you the positives and the negatives, and be interested in your comments, what you think, and maybe some discussion about some do's and don'ts when Craigslisting. Certainly, I learned that I'm going to check things a little bit better, especially on retro gaming stuff when I buy it, just to make sure that everything seems to be on the level, and that if there are some detractors like this, because I had I gone through this stuff when I met the guy in this parking lot, I would have probably said, hey, can you give me a little bit of a discount here? This stuff's kind of beat up. So without further ado, let's go through the stuff that I got in that collection. First up is an Atari 7800 Pro system. Overall, the console itself is in really good cosmetic condition. A few minor scratches on the nameplate. Nothing too uncommon for this age of a system. Mind you, I haven't actually cleaned any of these yet, so it's clear that this was in pretty good condition, because it's not totally caked to death with dust, as often happens with a system of that age. With it, I got two of the standard Atari 7800 paddle / stick controllers. They're both in relatively good shape. A bunch of gunk caked around the Atari logo, but again, nothing that probably wouldn't clean up with just a simple cloth wipe. The power supply for it. Now, this is one of the detractors from this particular item. I don't know if you can see here, but power cord is clearly frayed at the base. I'm hoping that the cord itself hasn't been shorted, because so long as it hasn't been shorted, I will dissect that part of things and put it back together and heat shrink it really good and rebuild the strain relief. Always a bonus to make sure that you at least have this part of things, because in all reality, these power supplies can be replaced. There's a universal power supply. It's easily picked up on eBay that costs like $6, and it has a NES and a Genesis plug on it. You can splice this cord into one of those and use it as a replacement power supply for the 7800. So there's a cheap fix if there's something truly wrong with the power supply besides just the frayed wires. Also came with it is an Epix 500XJ. You don't see the old Epix controllers around very often. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen this particular one in the wild. It's got a really nice ergonomic shape to it. Kind of reminds you of some of the big mice that were produced in the 80s as far as ergonomics. Overall, it's in pretty good shape. The plug on it looks like somebody's puppy got a hold of it, maybe. And you'll have that. You know, when you're talking about stuff of this age, finding something that's complete and working is kind of amazing to begin with. So I'm just hoping that it's functional. Again, none of this stuff's been cleaned or tested yet, as far as with the 7800. Then I got a hold of a copy of a game that Classic Game Room is constantly talking about. I'm sure you may already have guessed it if you follow that channel, but yes, it's Robotron 2084 for the 7800. So I'm going to enjoy playing that. Certainly have enjoyed watching it on his videos when he brings it up. I got some boxed 7800 games, so this is kind of where like the good is kind of outweighing the bad. You know, got a boxed copy of Dig Dug. Got a boxed copy of Ace of Aces. Got a boxed copy of Cracked. So that's kind of exciting to get boxed stuff. Got a couple more. Let's see. Did get one other 7800 game. Got a copy of Galaga. I believe I already had Galaga. This isn't my first 7800. I have one already in the collection. That's kind of how I knew about the power supply thing, because it had a bad power supply, and the micro switches that control power and reset were bad. So even if this one has bad switches, when I bought the switches for my first one, I bought like 12 of them. So in my parts bin, I have switches. So if there are problems with the switches, you can probably expect to see a repair video for this system, and I may do a repair video for the power supply if there's a problem with it beyond just the wires, because the folks that would be into a repair video, hopefully you're kind of okay with stripping some wires, soldering some things back together, and throwing a little heat shrink at it. So that's it on the 7800 side of things. There were a couple of 2600 games that also came with it. I don't have them near the camera, so I'm not going to show them. I got a copy of Math Grand Prix for 2600 and Tutankhamun for 2600. I already had a copy of Tutankhamun, but Math Grand Prix is kind of cool. You don't see too many of the edutainment games pop up for the 2600. So it's kind of neat to run across that. One that he did throw in as a free bonus, which, you know, whatever. It was with his stuff and he didn't have the system to go with it, was a copy of Armor Attack on the Vectrex. I don't have a Vectrex yet. It's definitely on my hit list, but I've got my first game now. Of course, when I got my first game for the Magnavox Odyssey 2, it was only like a month later before I got an Odyssey 2 because, well, I wanted to play the game. The next thing I got was an Atari Lynx Model 2 that is cosmetically in excellent shape. I would say the screen on this one is even actually just a hair better than the screen on the one that's in my collection already. But this has an issue. There is no the brightness control seems to not affect the screen at all, and in fact there's nothing displayed on the screen. The backlight comes up, there's nothing displayed on the screen, but you can hear the sound of the game starting up. I'm hoping that this is a minor fix. I do happen to have a cap kit for the Atari Lynx. I also have the small component, and I can't think of the name of it right at the moment, but there's a small component that commonly goes bad on these that prevents them from powering on, and I've got 3 or 4 of those as well in my bin. But this powers on, so that's not the problem. I also have 2 parts units from failed repairs in the past that I may be able to scavenge if it turns out to truly be a problem with the display or the display ribbon cable. And the nice thing about the links, the part that really kind of makes it worth it for me, because my links collection was relatively limited in the first place, was that it came with a handful of games. So it came with Steel Talons, it came with Hydra, it came with Pit Fighter, it came with Batman Returns, which I believe I already have a copy of. It came with Awesome Golf, which, you know, not to bag too much on golf games, but to me that title's kind of an oxymoron. I don't really enjoy golf that much. There have been a few arcade style golf games that I do enjoy, and even on my iPhone I have a copy of like Flick It Golf or something that I can kind of enjoy, but in general, yeah. And then Pinball Jam, which I was kind of excited to see. I haven't really looked at the catalog for the links, and I did not know they had a pinball game, and I'm really into video pinball games, have been for many years. So then probably one of the bigger bonuses is that he had the original manual, a game insert fold up, and this cool like order catalog from a company called Go Atari. And anybody knows some history on Go Atari, I'd be interested to hear it. They were in San Luis Obispo, California, and they had an internet address even. So I may go see if they still exist. And last but not least, for the Atari Lynx, he actually had a Atari Lynx travel pouch. The Lynx would go in here. He had his games in the front. There's a back flap here that I would assume would be, you know, for your manuals and booklets. The only downside to this is this, I believe, is actually for an Atari Lynx 1, as the Atari Lynx goes into it but doesn't really fit all the way in. It sticks out probably about a half an inch too far to be able to close the Velcro at the top. And as I recall, the Lynx 1, which I don't have one of yet, is a little bit thinner and flatter and might allow for the case to fit over it better. If not, then I don't know. This may actually be like a Game Gear case or some other system case, since it's not officially logoed anywhere as to what it went to. It might be for one of those other systems. So, but it's a case, and I always like cases. I like to have protective bags in case I do decide to take one of my systems somewhere. So that's a pretty decent bonus. Now, the last like system hardware here that we picked up is really a conundrum. It's kind of a double. I don't know if I like it or I don't like it. Because I'm really happy to get a Genesis Model 2 boxed. And the box is in relatively good shape. It's a little bit beat on the corners, and you can tell that the box is a little bit dry. So you got to kind of be careful around the bottom edge where it's glued, because the glue kind of cracks if you get near that end of it. The downside to this system, and I'm gonna rapid edit this part of things, so I'm going to clip part out here because I'm going to open this up. Okay, we're open. The downside to this is, and let's see if we can get this in close enough so you can see it. The top of the Genesis looks like something melted on it, and I don't know, like, if that's a game got too hot and melted the doors while it was in, or you know, it doesn't exactly look like a cigarette burn or something, but I don't know what happened to this system, but clearly something good didn't happen. It does have the door on it, and I have a couple Genesis that are in pretty good shape that don't have the door for connecting the CD on it. So what I'll probably do is take one of the systems I've got that's cleaner and in better shape and throw it in this box. I haven't looked to see if the serial numbers match the box to the system yet. Let's see here. This actually has the serial tag on it. So this might not have been a serial box, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And then the other thing is, if you look at the controller wire here on this 3-button, because the system came, this is the core system with two controls, there we go. You can see that that wire is pretty mangled, it's pretty gnarly chewed up. So, the other controller seems to be in relatively good shape, although it looks like the same puppy got a hold of the, let's get some focus here. Come on, there we go. I don't know if I'll leave that in or not, but it's kind of fun. It looks like the other controller end on it is chewed up, just like the end of that Epix controller. So safe to assume either the same puppy got a hold of it or who knows what. The other nice thing though about the Genesis itself, it did come with the NFR Sonic 2, but I have like 4 copies of NFR Sonic 2. So, and if, just in case you don't know what NFR is, not for resale. It did come with, however, a handful of close to complete, or at least in the shell games, one of which, Outlander, I've not seen in the wild before, and I don't know if it's just that I wasn't looking for it. It's not complete in the case. It is in the case, but no book, no manual. Ariel, Disney's The Little Mermaid. Of course, you know, the Disney games during this era tended to be pretty good. I don't see, this just says Disney software, so I'm not sure if this is going to hold up to most of the other Disney games at the time, but we'll play it. Maybe we'll even review it to find out if it goes well. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and it is complete with the book. I believe I have a copy of Dr. Robotnik. As a matter of fact, I'm positive I have a copy of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I don't think I have the case or the book for it before now. Sega Classics Pat Riley Basketball. He looks like he needs an antacid. And it's complete with the book. Biohazard Battle. This is another one that I had not seen previously in the wild, but there it is. No book, but at least it's got the shell. Sonic Spinball. I know I have this game previously as well. Don't think I had the shell for it, but there it is. Here's a game that everybody should have in their collection in the 16-bit era, possibly on multiple consoles, and that's Street Fighter 2. And this is the Special Champion Edition, so I'm assuming this comes with the extra characters. So fun there. It doesn't have the manual. This is some sort of a light insert that says like special merchandise offer, and it has the Capcom registration card, but does not have the doesn't have the book, unfortunate. Then we got John Madden Football 93. So that goes back a ways in the John Madden Football. I'm not a huge fan of sports titles. It's kind of fun to get the EA games, the large cartridges. No manual here, and that's kind of a detractor with the Madden games for me. If I am getting the Madden games, even though I'm not a big fan of sports titles in general, I like the Madden games to have the books with them, just because there is quite a bit of information in there on how the selection system works and how to pick your plays and stuff. And then a copy of Arnold Palmer Loose. So that's kind of cool. Alright, so the last thing I want to mention is I had mentioned that I'd gotten a good clearance purchase also this week. The clearance purchase that I picked up was from Toys R Us. They sent out, or I saw on one of the websites that I follow that's for deals. I don't remember if it was like Mojo Savings or something along those lines, put out an alert that Toys R Us was having a bunch of clearance stuff this week. And the thing that they were mentioning at the time was this guitar toy that I probably would have picked up for my son, other than that it was a little bit girly. It was like purples and pinks. And I went ahead and looked through the rest of their deals, and I was a big fan, as you probably noticed in the previous video for Game Boy stuff, of the Golden Sun series during the Game Boy Advanced era. Well, they also put out a game that I don't know that I was aware of, just because my ability to keep track of newer games kind of diminished over time. But I was not aware that they had put out a Golden Sun title for DS, and I went and looked at some of the reviews on it before I bought it. A lot of people said that it falls very well in line with the rest of the Golden Sun games prior to it, and the play system is very similar, even though it's got revamped graphics and it's kind of this really neat over the shoulder 3D view. So I may do some playthrough and some review on it before too long, but there it is. And it's Golden Sun Dark Dawn. So, and $5 brand new sealed. Picked it up at my local Toys R Us, so no shipping. It's a pretty good deal. Hey YouTube, as I was editing together the video, I did have one more question come to mind that I'd love to hear your comments on. As you know, when I put the first video out, we named it Episode 1. Since then, we've done two separate episodes on the Game Boy, and my question to you is, should we do our pickup videos and other commentary videos as episodes, and then when we pick on a specific piece of hardware or do a review, should those be something else? So question to you is, should this be episode 2 or should this be episode 4? Let me know what you think. This will probably be named episode 2 episode 4, but it's just as much your channel as mine, so let me know. So that's it for today's video. Just let me know down in the comments what you think. Would you be okay with the deal, even with the problems that were found? You know, how do you feel as far as how this lot was represented by the seller? And you know, I still feel like I got a halfway decent deal. I haven't even contacted the seller. I did tell him about my channel, so he may see this video. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like what we're doing here and want to see more. And select start and game on.